Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing well. This week we're going to be covering an introduction to content marketing. I apologize in advance, I've got a horrible cold still left over from last week, so if I sound a bit funny, that is why. So, as we normally do, let's start off by taking a look at some content marketing statistics. 72% of marketers say that content marketing increases engagements. So if you're doing a campaign that you want to increase engagements and get in touch with your customers, this is a really good way of doing it. 94% of consumers plan to buy from a company they follow. This is why it's so important to actually have your target audience on Facebook, on LinkedIn, or Twitter. 72% of marketers say that content marketing increases the number of leads, which is great. 95% of people only look at the first page of search results. Right, the dog has finished shaking, so I can continue. Sorry about that. 95% of people only look at the first page of search results. Even if you're ranked right at the top of page 2, which isn't bad in SEO terms, not many people are going to find you. This is why you need to invest in things like SEO and PPC to ensure you're on the first page, because people are lazy and they don't go through and check the second page. So what is content marketing? Content marketing is a strategic marketing approach focused on creating and distributing valuable, relevant, and consistent content to attract and retain a clearly defined audience and ultimately to drive profitable customer action. Content marketing actually describes quite a broad spectrum of digital marketing activities because it kind of covers email marketing, it covers social media marketing, it covers SEO, basically covers pretty much everything. So when it comes to content marketing and your strategy, you should have one big strategy and then break off into little ones under that. So we're going to be talking today about the general big content marketing strategy as a whole rather than each little bit. When it comes to content marketing, there's 3 words in this description that you need to remember. That's valuable, relevant, and consistent. Nobody likes companies that create content for the sake of it. So your content really needs to be valuable and teach people and show off your expertise so that they can learn from you. It needs to be relevant. There's no point in teaching your target audience about something that's really not interesting to them. Otherwise, they won't interact with you, they won't read it, they won't take on board what you're trying to say. It has to be relevant to their problems, their needs, and what they're looking to achieve. And consistency, that refers to branding, that refers to the kind of times that you go out with things, and pretty much anything that kind of gives your brand authority and defines how your brand's going to be seen by all of these people. If you keep changing your branding halfway through or decide that you're not going to post on social media for 2 weeks and then come back to it, that's going to affect your strategy. So make sure that you have it clearly defined from the very beginning. So content marketing sounds like a lot of work, and it is, but there are a number of good benefits that it brings, which makes it all worthwhile. So the first one is increased sales. Of course, you wouldn't be doing marketing if it didn't increase your sales. When you're investing things like manpower, and not just money, resources, time, you need to make sure that they pay off and they have an ROI too. So that's why increased sales is so important. Believe it or not, content marketing is actually cheaper than going out with some really big advertisements or other traditional forms of marketing. So while it is time consuming, it is a lot of work, it saves you money in the long run. So your bosses will like it. And it also helps to keep better customers and more loyal customers. If people feel that they can relate to you, they're going to keep buying from you because they feel some sort of sense of loyalty to you. This is also really good because when customers are loyal, they'll refer you and then you'll get more work or more sales. So it's a win-win, really. So how do you get started with your content marketing strategy? There's two things that you need to do before you start, and that's A, to define your goals, and B, to put together a mission statement. Your goals could be a wide range of things. It could be brand awareness, it could be increased sales, it could be to increase the number of email subscribers you have. You need to sit down with your sales team and your management and the marketing team as a whole and find out what matters to you, because this goal that you have is going to determine the type of content you go out with, the message you go out with, the call to actions you have, and it's going to prove vital in your content marketing strategy. Next, you need to put together a mission statement. This is why your company exists, what your goal is, and what your goal of operations are. You could come up with something a bit like, our company's goal is to help companies master digital marketing. We do this through digital marketing solutions, and our goal is to help you conquer the world. That's a really bad example that I've just come up with, but if you sit down with your managers, if you sit down with your sales team, you should be able to come up with something like that that defines why you're in business and why you help these people. Most companies actually should already have them, so chances are that you will have one that you can work from, or maybe just give it a little tweak. But it's definitely where you need to start with your content marketing. When you're doing your content marketing, it's really, really, really important to remember that you should never be doing content for the sake of it. No one likes companies who just go out with content that's completely pointless. It's what they think people want to hear rather than actually what people want to hear, and there's just no point behind it. You need to have set goals that support your business, that matter to you, and add value. So these could be brand awareness. When you have a brand awareness campaign, this is going to be like getting your brand seen by the mass audiences. It's not going to be converting people into sales. It's just getting out there as much as possible. Next, you could have building your email list, for example. So that's getting subscribers, that's getting people signing up to your emails. Next, you could have nurturing prospects. So this is getting them to progress along the buyer journey. So they could have just found out about you and you want to get them to buy. So your content is geared up at helping them make that decision and making sure that they're ready to buy from you when they're ready to buy. Converting your audience is another good way of doing content marketing. It's basically taking your audience that is there and making sure that they actually buy from you rather than being some kind of static people in the background who just kind of look at what you do and don't take any further actions. Next, when you have customers, they're a great way of getting new sales. You can upsell customers, you can make them repeat customers. So you could have campaigns that are targeted at people who have already bought from you to try and get them to buy from you again. And finally, once you've got these customers becoming repeat customers, you can then try and turn them into ambassadors. This is great because they'll talk about you to their friends, they'll share your content, they'll kind of do all the hard work for you, and they'll bring you people to your business and make sure that new people buy because of them. So what should you include in your content marketing strategy? This is a bit of a tough question because every company is so different, and with the different types of goals out there, there's no one set marketing strategy that I could share your spreadsheet for. You need to do it based on your company and based on your goals. But there are a few things that you can include and that all companies should have, which are the same. So first of all, you need to develop your buyer personas. Just like any other type of marketing, these buyer personas will tell you who your target audience are, what problems they have, what channels they use, where you can find them, and what sort of content they use. Next, you need content mapping. Content mapping is basically a way of saying which content you're going to put on which channels. So this could be saying that you're going to have videos on YouTube and social media, but you're not going to have videos on your website. And on your website, you're going to have written content, but you're not going to be putting that anywhere else, just for example. Next, you need a brand story. Every company came into, got created for a reason, really. There's very, very few companies out there that got created just because the owner wants to get really rich and do very little work. So it's stories that sell. As we've already talked about, people buy from people. So you need to be selling the story behind the founders and what made them set up in order to get people to kind of resonate to you and actually order from you. Next, you need what's called a channel plan. It's this channel plan that will show you where you're going to do your content marketing. So it could be defining social media channels, defining where on your website, defining what type of advertising you're going to go for. That's basically it. We're going to touch on the different channels that you can use in a minute. And we're here. So next we're going to cover the different types of channels that you can use for content marketing. As you can see, they're so vast and so diverse that each of these channels needs their own separate kind of plan and strategy, but they all need to go into one big strategy so that everything's consistent and everything everything's consistent, really. I think that's the best way of putting it. So, social media. Your content marketing strategy becomes your social media strategy and defines what you're going to put on your social media, when you're going to put it on your social media. And it's pretty good because it means that you don't have to put quite so much work into an actual separate social media strategy, because with your content marketing, it sets it all out for you. SEO content is part of a content marketing strategy because search engines reward fresh quality content. So you need to be doing good quality blog posts that are based around the keywords you're looking to target and targeting the needs of your buyer personas. I am sorry. So next we have PR. PR is often really thought about as a traditional marketing campaign and kind of getting things out in the printed press. But PR does happen online as well. There are loads of news mediums and PR mediums that are digital, so it's important to think about it when you're doing your content strategy. One thing to remember, though, is that good PR strategies address issues that consumers care about, and they're not just talking about how great and amazing your business is. That just makes you look arrogant. No one really cares. Make sure that you're talking about issues that your buyer personas care about. With PPC, you need good content behind it. Your landing pages need good content. You need good SEO to maximize on PPC and increase your results. You need good ad copy. That's why it all kind of comes into content marketing. So the different channels you could use for social media, you could use Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Zing. This really depends on the country you're targeting. But in general, make sure that you look into the most popular social media tools that are used by your personas and target them there. You can do things like Messenger marketing. You could do marketing on Snapchat, for example. Instagram is really good. You're not just limited to the big three traditional social media platforms. New social media platforms are coming every day. In a year's time, something might be really famous that we haven't even heard of today. Just keep up to date and make sure that you're doing the social media where your buyer personas hang out, and that kind of content is relevant to those social media channels too. On Instagram, you need high quality photography, whereas on LinkedIn, you need to keep it professional. On Facebook, you need a kind of mix. If you're a B2B company, having pictures of cute cats really doesn't work. But if you are a cat supplier and you sell cat food to B2C, having pictures of cute cats eating your cat food is absolutely perfect. And it just needs to be, you just need to be sensible really, and make sure that it's based around what people want. Next, email marketing is a really good channel. Email marketing actually has one of the highest conversion rates in the digital marketing kind of sphere of things. So make sure that you're going out with good quality content that matches what you're doing on social media, what you're doing on your website, kind of integrate it all into one. When you're doing email marketing, it shouldn't be all about what's new in your company, because people don't really care if you've got a new accounting assistant. No offense. They want added value. So maybe your email marketing campaigns could be something like 5 top tips to increase your on-page SEO for this month. And then next month you could have tips on how to increase video marketing conversions, something that people can take and use in their daily life. Next, infographics are a really good way of interacting with people. People can share them, it adds value. People know that what you're talking about when you're using them, and you can use these on a variety of channels. You can use them on your website, you can use them on social media. They're pretty diverse. Case studies are a great form of content marketing. Lots of people kind of forget about them, but they're really good at showing off your expertise. It gives you a chance to interact with the partner company that you are doing, and they can share it on their social media, which increases the reach and the engagements as well. And it also shows who you work with. It puts like a face behind what you do on a day-to-day basis on the company. So they're really good. So when you're working on a strategy, there's a few things that you can do to get started. First of all, you need to research your target audience. By researching your target audience, you know what they want, you know what they want to hear, you know what they don't like, you know where they hang out, and you can create these buyer personas that define your marketing so much. Step 2, you should always audit your current content. There might be some things that work really well. So you can take a look through your social media and you can see where people are interacting with the most. Say every Wednesday you share fun facts about something related to your industry and people love it, people share it. You know that this kind of content is something that you need to do more often. On the other hand, if there's a type of content like some pictures that people just don't interact with and people don't get behind, then you know that this is maybe not the best foot forward for your content marketing strategy. You can do this with email marketing. The good thing about digital is that you can track absolutely anything. So you could go into analytics and you can see which blog posts are the most popular. And then you could kind of find themes and connections and make sure that you're writing about that. Next, you need to choose your channels. So these are all, as we've already said, based on your target audience and based around what people are looking to achieve, and what your goals are as a company. Once you found out where you're going to be posting your content, then you need to decide on your content type. So if you're going to go for written content, graphics, infographics, videos, that kind of thing. Then, most importantly, you need to set KPIs and goals. If you don't have KPIs and goals in place, you can't measure it, you can't see if it's a success. And some campaigns, a bit like brand awareness, like we spoke about before, don't have set monetary values on them. So it's these KPIs that will show your bosses that, hey, this was a success, let's invest in it and do it again. Once you have everything set out, it's time to actually sit down and build an editorial calendar. You can do this in an Excel sheet. And what you can do is put in all the dates and put down what you're going to do on what date, the theme, and what channels you're going to target, what you're going to do where, and you can keep an eye so that everything is set out. That way you don't have everything in your head. And if you're off sick, for example, it means that nothing gets wasted, that everything carries on as normal. Once you've planned out your content and your keywords and your distribution and your content types and everything that we basically talked about before, it's time to create your content. You could create everything in advance if you have time, and that way you don't have to worry about unexpected things coming up and you have everything scheduled and ready to go. Now, with that, I'm not saying that you have to create stuff for next year in advance. Just try and be like a month ahead, if you can be, so that you're all organized, everything's scheduled, you're ready to go. Then you need to distribute and market your content. And finally, you need to measure and analyze your results. When you put together a plan, if you're doing a yearly plan, for example, you need to make sure that you're able to go back and change what you're doing. Sometimes the results might not be quite as you expected, and some things might work better and some things might not work at all. So you need to be able to actually go in and change what you're doing based on the results of your content marketing strategy. So I would suggest every month sitting down, finding out what works, finding out what doesn't work, and then changing it for the month that's coming, or in 2 months' time. So whenever you set goals, they need to be smart. They need to be specific. They need to be specific to your campaign, so that they're relevant. They need to be measurable. You need to measure everything. They need to be attainable, so make sure that they're realistic and they're not something that's completely impossible. Make sure that they're relevant to what you're trying to achieve, and make sure that there's a set time on when you want to achieve this by. So an example of a goal is that you want to increase paid views by 20% in the next 6 months. That's really easy to measure. That's you know when you have to have it done by, and it's realistic as well. Finally, let's take a look at some of the content marketing tools out there. There's a really wide number, but these are some of the best ones that we can recommend looking into. So first of all, you have something called Medium. This is a blogging platform that gets your blogs out there in front of a wider audience. When you have a blog on your website, it's great, but unless your SEO is really good, not many people are going to find it. Whereas on Medium, people are looking for things, people read content on the website and they're going to go through and find your work. PR Newswire is a press release distribution website. It's paid for, so it's not a free tool, but it's a good way of getting your press releases out in front of journalists and out in front of local and national press. Next, you've got Social Pilot. This is something that we use for scheduling social media posts. Social media can be quite time consuming. So if you schedule it in advance, but like a week or two in advance, therefore you don't have to sit down directly at 11 o'clock every day and schedule what you're going to do. This is especially important if you have a big brand that you're working on and you don't want to be working 7 days a week or tweeting 5 times a day. It takes a lot of the manual work out of there, and they have really good analytics features too. There's another website called Help a Reporter Out, and you can sign up for this, and it basically, if a reporter or a journalist is looking for an expert or a witness for something, it puts you in touch with the journalist who's looking for help in a specific area. Next, you have LinkedIn posts. This is a great place for publishing your articles on LinkedIn. It gets it seen out by a wide audience of professionals. Mention is a social listening tool. These are really important if you've got a brand that people are going to be talking about. It's good for finding out who's talking about your posts, giving you feedback on that kind of thing. And it's also good for customer service as well. So say somebody has had a bad experience with your brand and they start slacking you off online, you can nip it in the bud, go and sort it out and make yourselves give yourself some brownie points by sorting it out in a nice way and leaving this client happy, rather than letting something go viral and it ruining your brand image. And finally, the last tool is something called Gaggle AMP. I don't actually like the use of this tool. This is something that I would say has some ethical issues about it. But I thought I'd include it so you could have a think and see if this is sort of the thing that you would want or you wouldn't want. Basically, what it does is, say your company is a big company and you have lots of employees and you want everybody to share or like your social media. People forget, employees don't have time, and often they don't like posting about their work to their personal social media profiles, and that's all understandable. But Gaggle AMP basically connects to the employees, to your employees' personal social media accounts, and lets you publish, lets you share statuses and things for them on their behalf. Like, I suppose it's not bad if employees actually opt in, but I can imagine some bigger companies forcing their employees as part of their employment to do this, which is where I think it kind of oversteps the mark a little bit between the line of having your private life on social media and having your work life on social media. But again, it's up to you and depends what you want to do in terms of freedom and how pushy your company is. So anyway, that's basically a really quick introduction to content marketing. There really isn't that much more intro to go into, really, because now once you've got that kind of introduction, once you've got that understanding of how it's kind of such a big umbrella term, you go into each separate strategy. So once you've got everything planned out for your big content strategy, you then go into SEO and plan SEO separately. You go in and plan video separately. You'd go in and plan social media strategy separately, which I think you're covering in different bits of your course. So if you have any questions at all about anything that we've mentioned today for content marketing, please get in touch and I'll be happy to help. If not, we'll be in touch soon with the next bits and continuing the course. Have a great week and speak to you soon.